So I think I've come to a conclusion with this X-T4 that's kind of strange. I don't think I like the camera, but it's funny because it offers Fuji's best right now. So it's kind of the camera I grab, whether it's, video of my kids or video in the backyard of birds, like the hummingbird video I posted, or these, or pictures of the kids. It's just the X-T4. And I'm obviously part of it's the new camera, right? But it's also because it just works better. So as much as I have that video lamenting about how the XH1, I love it, and I can't see myself selling it. The X-T4 is just the better camera. It does everything better. The output's better. It's not a huge difference, but it is better. But it's more like the abilities. So video, autofocus. You could make the XH1 work pretty damn good. And I think I got it, to the point that I kind of expect it to work, but it still would hunt here and there. Like, you'd see in my videos, you go back a little bit, and it just will do these random hunts. And other than this, just like a user error with this camera, with the X-T4, that never happens. So, I can just trust when I turn on, especially for stuff like this, especially, or, just filming my kids up close where their face is clearly in the frame, even if it's off on the edge. It will do the face and eye tracking on them in video or stills, and it just works. That combined with the better files, so I could do H.265 on this, which I've done solely now because my MacBook my iPad Pro has no problem. It's an older one too, before the M1 chip, the one right before the M1 chip, and it chomps through them no problem. Doesn't seem like it renders the files really any slower or imports them any slower, and the files are small on the camera, so they take up less space on the memory card, and I assume they're kind of like better quality. I'm still just doing internal recording, so some of that doesn't matter. And then with the stills and video, I'm playing around with these. This is an Eterna bleach bypass. I'm still messing around with this kind of modified version of this simulation by changing around the white balance a little bit and the saturation. I have these new looks, classic negative I've been using a lot, especially with stills, but even I'm starting to play with it in video, and that's really cool, and that was honestly a big feature. The one I'm not using too much that I thought I would use more is the toning on the black and white. I just haven't really been shooting black and white on this camera, or really any camera right now. I've kind of paused a bit on that, I guess. And then I still have the M246 sometimes when I really want to take some black and white pictures. So it's just a better camera, but it's funny because it's just like it doesn't seem like it's jiving with me correctly. It looks cool, like looking at it, but like when you're using it, these XT ergos are not as good as the XH1, obviously. And I kind of felt this way when I was selling my XT1 some years ago. I'd had that for a long time. Sold it after I'd gotten the XH1 and XT3 because it sort of became defunct when I had those two cameras. I had a small and a larger camera that both did everything better than the XT1, so that was why it went. But the handling's a little weird, but I think really what drives me nuts, which is funny because it's useful now for something like this when I'm filming, is I hate the flip screen for video and stills. When I'm behind the camera, it's just terrible. It gets in the way. I use the strap, and the strap is kind of in the way, so it's either like I run the strap under it and then I can't actually have the camera hang on the strap because then it'll pull on the LCD because it's flipped out to the side. So otherwise I have to have the strap in front of it, and then it's blocking the LCD, and you're looking off to the side always, like you're holding the camera and you're looking this way. And it's just, I don't know, I prefer it, being kind of in line with the lens, like a normal tilt screen, but it's really annoying. The only time, and it's not even any better, but when you're doing like straight down, where you kind of hanging the camera off I'll have it on the strap of my neck, kind of hanging almost like a fake, steady cam or something. Having the screen, pointed straight up is kind of nice, but honestly, I could almost do that with the flip screen or the tilt screens because you could flip it totally pointed up, and it just was behind the camera, so you kind of had to push the camera forward on your shoulder strap instead of just letting it really dangle, almost touching your chest or your stomach. But something I noticed with that though is it trips with this camera, with the T4, with the fully articulating screen. It doesn't have that same feature that the XH1 has, where when you had the tilt screen out, it knew that. I don't know if there was some sensor somewhere. And then if you got near the proximity sensor on the XH1, it wouldn't trigger it. It wouldn't switch the LCD off and go to the EVF because it knew the LCD was pulled. So it was smart enough to realize that's not your face, held up to the EVF to use it. It's just like your body because you're just holding the camera near you. And that was a really smart feature that Fuji did. I don't know if other camera companies do that. That was really cool. Somehow it's not on the T4, and I'm not sure what the heck's that about, because I assume it could have a sensor just the same when you have this LCD flipped out, either facing forward like it is now, or just up or whatever. But when it's out, not folded in, I get that. It should know that it's tilted outward, and you're unlikely to be holding the camera up to your face with the screen swung out like that. That doesn't make any sense. It should know that, and it should not turn off the LCD for the EVF, but somehow they didn't do that. I don't know what they were doing. It's very weird. I've never even heard anyone talk about that. Maybe because that was not a common feature that the XH1 had, but it was a smart feature. I don't know. I feel like I'm sort of lying saying this, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll probably sell the T4 to get the XH2, but I think there's actually a good chance that I probably keep the T4 and probably don't even buy the XH2 unless like it really blows my mind, or if it like does everything and it's just as nicely built as XH1. Maybe at that point I would consider kind of selling it, the XH1, even though I said I wouldn't. But I guess where I'm kind of at, it's like this camera, this X-T4 doesn't like connect with me. It works, and it's the best Fuji has, and because of that, I gravitate to using it. So it's like I'm not unhappy that I bought it. No buyer's remorse, because it's filling a need or whatever, a want, and it's the best Fuji can muster at this time. And because of that, I really enjoy it. But I just don't think the XT line is for me anymore. I loved the XT1 when it came out, but I kind of lost interest with it towards the end. It just didn't jive with me. And I think this one, again, it's the weird ergonomics combined with this fully articulating screen. It doesn't work right, because of what it is and its guts and its capability. It is my main camera, and I continue to grab it. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting kind of feel. It's like it's not like I'm not one with this camera. It's like I felt like with a lot of my other Fujis. It just seems like it's this kind of weird disconnect. But at the same time, I use it, and I'm using it all the time because it's the one that works, and it's the best they got. So anyway, I thought I would just kind of share that thought that's been going through my head for I guess like the past week. I'll talk to you guys next time. Later.